It's what?
I said Malcolm alleged that some of Elijah's women were underage secretaries, and can you expound on that?
Yeah, well, I guess they were because they were there. I seen them. I seen them myself. It's all true. It's all true.
Good evening, messenger. You convinced us that you were the last messenger. How many other bastard children do you have?
At least 15. At least 15. Barbershop conversation, guys. Welcome to the show. Click the link below. 9 Wives. I want to say thank you guys in advance for supporting the project, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And next project is coming May 19th of next year, man. It's going to be an extraordinary project. I went and looked at some locations today, and it's coming together. It's coming together, and we're gonna be well on our way. So let's talk about this. Tank Davis and Shawn Porter sparred. I have no idea what happened in the sparring. I really don't care. You know, they ain't gonna beat each other up. Al Heyman will not listen. If they wasn't sparring too hard, because Al Heyman would jump through his would jump through his cell phone if he found out that they hurt each other 2 weeks before they or 2 and 3 weeks respectfully to their fights. But what I did notice in the camp was that Barry, I didn't see Calvin Ford, but I saw Boogie. Is that his name? Boog? I don't think I've ever met him. But he's great at what he do. Barry Hunter, he's great at what he do. I didn't see Calvin Ford. It looks like Barry Hunter's in charge of that camp. The reason why I say that is because Tank Davis is sparring Shawn Porter, and Barry Hunter has a connection between both those fighters. Now, moving forward, I did see Shawn Porter's team. I'll consider Fight Hype a part of their team at this point. Fight Hype, Larry Wade, and we got to finish talking about politics on the barbershop. Larry Wade and Kenny Porter. And Barry Hunter's on the other side. Barry Hunter and Boog and Tank Davis. That's what I saw. I'll start with Kenny Porter and them, or Team Porter. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. That's what I'll say. I'll forever say that Shawn Porter should have hired a full-time trainer to his dad. Not because his dad is inadequate, but when you want to get over that hump and you think you're going to keep the same defense and you got Troy Polamalu as a free agent and you don't go sign Troy Polamalu, I think you're part of the problem. So Shawn Porter's 0-3 in the fights. Devin Alexander was on opioids when he fought him. And who else he beat? Oh, and he beat Danny Garcia, which ended up, no disrespect to Danny, but Danny is a welterweight step-up opponent. He was a great 140, but at 147, he hasn't cut the mustard. I think that's the biggest mistake the Porters have made, is not hiring a full-time guy. And honestly, I think I was very vocal about that. I told Kenny that he should have hired a full-time guy, but he said he's in charge of everything, and that's what. I'm not throwing shots. I'm just being very, very, very pragmatic, as I always am. You're not going to get different results doing the same thing. And funny thing, as I look at Coach Calvin Ford and Coach Barry Hunter and Boog, Tank Davis has added to his team. Barry Hunter looks like a mindset and skills guy, like identifying a problem and curing it. I think Calvin Ford lost, and I tried to rally around Calvin Ford. I did it in my own little way. Maybe I mean, obviously, you're not going to be receptive to it because I speak with a sharp tongue, um, and I don't put metaphors behind what I really mean. Is Calvin Ford allowed his corner to be minimized, to be captured. When Floyd Mayweather was in his corner and adding and allowing Floyd to dictate what the hell goes on, and nah, it don't work like that in real life. You know, Floyd, you're a promoter. You sit your ass over there. This is my corner. I'm the only man that has the key to my front door, back door, side door. You know, I'm in charge of my remodel that I'm about to break ground on in my backyard. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's what Tank need. I think Tank needs leadership at this point. You know, he's going through a bunch of court case, legal. We'll call them legal problems, legal issues that stand before him, and he's high and low in terms of masculinity, and his accountability is growing, but it took him time to get here. He's 27 now, so um, Tank has added to his team. Although he's won convincingly in his last couple fights, he may have believed that maybe Calvin Ford needed some help, you know, and um, he looks good in camp. He looks good in camp, and I think Shawn Porter, on the other hand, is going to do the same thing. You know, high octane, going to bring the energy, going to bring the adrenaline to the fight, going to bring the inertia to the fight. That will be the operative word, inertia. And can Terrence Crawford stymie Shawn Porter's inertia? And truth be told, Shawn Porter in his last couple of fights hasn't really been probably because he's getting older, and you take punishment as you get older, and then uh, you definitely do a risk versus reward as you get older, because I'm 44 and I completely understand what risk versus reward is at this point. Um, I think that um, Shawn chooses his path, chooses his inertia, and but I just think Terrence Crawford is going to be a little bit too much. I have each round competitive, as Shawn always is. He's not going to get dog walked or anything like that, but I think him losing this fight will officially make him a gatekeeper. He is a he is a high class uh uh gatekeeper, you know, and the reason why he's a gatekeeper, because he's a skill set away from possibly being undefeated in those fights. You know, he's lost all those rounds by 1 round each. So, you know, go figure. So 1 or 2 rounds each. So and that's just and I think that's just insanity. You know, I don't think them as a collective, Team Porter, um have the I'm not gonna say the aptitude, because they got here to get here. So I'm not gonna call them unintelligent. That's not what I'm gonna do. But I'll just say the game plan falls apart in the championship rounds, because I don't want to make this a personal attack on the Porters, because you know my disdain for his dad at this point. But I just want to speak facts. In the championship rounds, as we look through it, Ugas, he lost the championship rounds. That was a knockdown. I believe Jack Reese missed that one. Uh, Adrian Broner got knocked down in the championship rounds. Danny Garcia, championship rounds, came on strong in the championship rounds. Shawn Porter got off to a great start. And Earl Spence knocked him down in the championship round. So all the fights that meant something. Oh, and Kell Brook in the 10th or 11th round hit Shawn Porter, almost knocked him down. If it wasn't for the ropes, I think Shawn would have been knocked down against the far rope against his corner. I think that was the 9th or 10th round. I think it was. So coming down the stretch, that inertia game plan doesn't really work, because you don't have enough gas in your tank to put that inertia in overdrive, because you're human. Like, it's just the reality of it. You're human. So you got to lean on more skill set. You got to fight in the pocket. You got to take a half a round off, like Floyd did. He knew he couldn't move for 12 rounds. So he had to say, you know what? I'm a stand in the pocket and counter for a half a round. You know what I mean? And that's been Shawn Porter's Achilles heel, championship rounds, and so we'll sit back and see what happens, man. Yeah, it is what it is. We'll see what happens with Tank Davis. I think that's a 3-round fight at max. Tank is just too much for whoever he's fighting. And lastly, what's his name? Sebastian Fortuna. This is his 5th fight during COVID. His 5th fight. How many times have y'all fought during COVID? I don't care what promotional company you're with. This is his 5th fight and 3rd pay-per-view this year, right? He was on the Andy Ruiz pay-per-view. Now he's on this pay-per-view. He's been on everybody's pay-per-view. Have you? What's his name? Earl Spence, Andy Ruiz, and now Tank Davis. So it's obviously who PBC wants to be their next star. It's very obvious, right? It's not your black ass. I tell you that damn much. Even though y'all built it, it's similar to what Martin and Living Single did for Fox and New York Undercover. Hey, we need you, but when we need you, we're gonna make you the janitor. And that's basically what happens, So they got Canelo, and he's gonna be fighting on Canelo's undercard or Andy Ruiz undercard, or fight the week before or the week after Canelo. Watch what I say. Watch. Barbershop Conversations, man. You guys have a splendid night. I got Tank winning by 3rd or 4th round. I got Terrence Crawford winning in a competitive fight, but Terrence Crawford is going to edge out rounds and win 8 rounds to 4. That's kind of the way I see it. I think Terrence Crawford is going to dominate the middle of the ring. Shawn Porter doesn't have a counter. He has a counter jab, but he don't have a pull counter, slip to. That's not really Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter, he doesn't really slip. He angles himself and throws barrages of punches. So, and I think that's going to be his weakness, because I think Terrence Crawford is going to intellectually bait him into doing that, and Terrence Crawford is going to slide out and counter and pivot and counter him on those shots, and I think it's going to knock Shawn Porter off balance a little bit. And those are going to be some of his keys to victory. So that's kind of how I see it, and I don't think Shawn has the power, even though Terrence Crawford was knocked down by Pinto Bean. What's his name? Stream Bean, whatever his name is. Yeah. He was knocked down by him, and that's what it is. But click the link. 9 Wives, Tank Davis, Shawn Porter sparred today. It wasn't serious. Al Heyman will not let those guys go serious. Al Heyman ain't risking 2 paychecks in 1 sparring session. Are you crazy? They wouldn't hear the end of that. So they probably went light, and you could tell it was nothing really, really major, because Fight Hype didn't do no interviews after with them drenched in, and then because whenever there's a good sparring, the gym gets thick with a temperature that you can't feel, but you can feel. If that makes any sense, If that was Lincoln, Daddy, that doesn't make any sense. Barbershop Conversation, man. I appreciate you. 9 Wives is waiting on y'all. Speaking of 9 Wives, you're gonna learn a lot about this relationship in 9 Wives. So there's a segment there's a segment. It's a great 15-minute short film. We're in Nigeria this week. I thought we were in Nigeria last week. But anyways, I'm going to bed. It's midnight. Barbershop Conversations, man. I thank y'all. Click the link below. 9 Wives. And we got David Benavidez this weekend. And we got 9 Wives as a prequel to the David Benavidez fight. Click the link. Holla.